Your new book is called Messages from Spirit, The Extraordinary Power of Oracles, Omens, and Signs. And this is, you're talking about synchronicity here, you're talking about messages, you're talking about really people awakening to embracing and consciously embracing what's happening in their life. What you're really speaking about is going from existing to living, people being aware of the moment.
Yep.
And I love it. I would love for you to talk to our audience just a little bit. And audience, before you get started, feedback at AOL Instant Messenger. The screen name is ABT Radio Show. You guys can continue. We already have feedback from Florida, Washington, Arkansas, Georgia, Germany, and Portugal. So keep it coming.
Hi, guys.
And we will definitely get to some feedback. But I want Colette to be able to speak as much as possible on her work. Go ahead, Colette.
Yeah. Well, here's what's interesting. I mean, my knowledge is experiential first, okay? So, and I'm a very skeptical person. So, I didn't come into this with this woo-woo thing that I'm going to put a turban on my head and a bunch of big earrings, and then next thing you know, I'm going to be Madame Zora. Hello. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me. I experienced it. Once I had the clarity of thought and I started to really take a look at what I was experiencing, which was, by the way, consistent. So I thought, okay, if this is anomalous activity and it's the same all the time for me, what the heck does it mean? So what I did was I started studying. I mean, I have a background in psychology now and all kinds of things, but for this book, I went into the past, and I took a look at some of the ancient traditions, which we cannot discount anymore, given that this is a very popular way now, of people to access information about themselves, and I wanted to know, okay, well, is there any intellectual or spiritual history here that I can share with people? And so there are certain traditions, for example, like the Cledon of the Temple of Apollo, which is really interesting. We all receive messages from Spirit all the time, and Spirit, and again, I like mystical language. It's just language. A scientist would listen to me talk and say, that's the field, or the sub-manifest order of being.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
okay,
absolutely.
Or that's nature. What the heck? I mean, I don't really care. It's language, right?
Right, you're absolutely
but language is important. So I like to kind of bridge the two things, I think. So the point is that way back when, for example, people would go to the Temple of Apollo and ask for a sign, and basically, they'd give them laurel leaves or cheese or whatever it is, and then go out into the market square. But they had an expectation that was the way they lived, that they expected that Apollo would set a couple of people up to talk to each other and give you the message, even though they didn't know they were talking. And so that has a name. It's called Cledonism. And in fact, we get it all the time. We get it on television, listening to songs on the radio. Quick story, which everybody will relate to. A client of mine was going to go on a trip, was very nervous about it, was talking to her sister on the phone, and all of a sudden while she was talking, her senses amplified, because that's how you know when Spirit is talking to you. I don't know if it's a sixth sense. Some cultures think they're 12. Bottom line is it's the one that's not your 5, right? So whatever amplifies, right, it's like, her hearing. And so she says to her sister, did you just turn the stereo up? What's that song? And the sister said, no, I didn't. But the song is called Please Don't Go. So, you know what I mean? And then so she discounted it, and the next day she gets in the car anyway, and the first song comes up as Jesus Take the Wheel. Right? Now, so I tell this story all the time when I start my seminars, because Carrie Underwood had no clue that she was helping this person, because, all these signs were coming. Don't get in the car. Don't, what are you doing? Stop driving. And actually, she ended up having an accident. Jesus Take the Wheel came on the second time. I won't go into the big, long story, but the point is that that's just one small story of the way the world actually interacts with us through synchronistic events that trigger us on, and again, is it subconscious, unconscious, whatever, like I don't want to get mushy in the details, but the bottom line is something is happening to us.
Something
and to all of us.
Absolutely happens. I've said it so many times during, whether it be a seminar or a radio show, that I'll get some spectacular feedback, Colette. I have no idea what I said. But whatever it was must have been really good.
Well, it's really interesting, because I really believe that every single one of us can be a conduit for a message from Spirit. Whether it be just on your radio show and one person hears something that you say and it changes their life, and you have no clue that you've done that for that person. We are innocent in that case. It's a very common place where people are completely transformed by this kind of a process is in the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, right? So, or 12-step programs or group therapy where people sit around and share. And the next thing you know, everyone is feeling that they've experienced something very deep without knowing what it is, and there's some form of healing that takes place. You see what I mean?
Right. Now, Colette, where is this information coming from? Is it that we have? Is it a library of universal information that we access at times? Is it our mother, father, or grandparents that passed on? If they were limited in their knowledge on Earth, when they died, do they suddenly become these spiritual geniuses, or do they stay the same? How does that work?
That's a really good question, because I don't, I think it would be, again, I use the word arrogant. I think it would be arrogant on my part to say that I know 100%, because I think any one of us just have theories. We really do. None of us know 100%. Anybody who says they know, I think, is full of caca. Okay,
right.
So,
I agree.
So the truth is that none of us really know, but I have some theories, and I believe that, and again, this comes with a lot of research, and assume that there is information that just exists always, right? And that someone like myself, it's like having an aptitude to play piano. Some of us are prodigies. Some of us can just plunk with a finger. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I can't counter cook, so I do this, right? So,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, we have an aptitude, and we pick up this information, and does it come from, I believe consciousness is vast and it is immortal. Now, there are people who believe in something called the Akashic Records. But who do we know? We're going to know when we die. But I do know one thing, is that something does happen and we don't die, because, I've had enough consistent cognitive experiences with people, consciousness who are deceased, that I know that there is something there. And yes, I do believe that we become much wiser in this different place. So I hope that answers your question, because it probably didn't.
It does.
It kind of did.
It answers